This is San Francisco, a city known for innovation, wealth, and some of the most valuable companies ever created. For decades, it has been one of the most successful cities in the world. Entire industries were born here. Fortunes were made here. Ideas that reshaped how billions of people live and work came out of this place. But today, San Francisco is struggling. And not because it failed, but because it succeeded in the wrong way. By almost every economic measure, San Francisco should be thriving. It sits at the center of the global technology industry. It consistently ranks among the highest GDPs per capita on Earth. It attracts enormous amounts of venture capital, talent, and corporate investment year after year. On paper, this is what success looks like. Yet at the same time, San Francisco faces some of the highest housing costs in the country, visible homelessness, declining population, and an affordability crisis so severe that even high-income earners are choosing to leave. This creates a strange contradiction. How did one of the richest cities in history become one of the hardest places to live? The answer isn't tech, and it isn't money. Those are just accelerants. The real answer lies in what San Francisco chose to protect, and what it refused to change. Because San Francisco didn't just build a powerful economy. It built a city optimized for preservation over adaptation. And over time, that choice reshaped everything. For much of the 20th century, San Francisco was a relatively balanced city. It had ports, shipping, light manufacturing, and a broad middle class. Neighborhoods were dense but functional. Housing expanded alongside population growth, and new residents were absorbed into the city rather than pushed out of it. After World War II, San Francisco still looked like a traditional American city, one that worked even as it changed. But by the 1970s, something began to shift. Manufacturing declined, land values increased, and instead of responding by adapting the city to new realities, San Francisco began treating growth itself as a threat. That mindset would quietly define the next half-century. San Francisco has some of the strictest housing regulations in the United States. Large portions of the city are zoned exclusively for single-family or very low-density housing. Height limits restrict vertical growth. Lengthy approval processes, environmental reviews, and neighborhood opposition make new construction slow, expensive, and unpredictable. In many cases, a single housing project can take years, sometimes decades, to be approved, if it's approved at all. Even as demand increased, supply remained almost frozen. Jobs exploded, population pressure rose, but housing barely moved. And when demand rises while supply stays fixed, prices respond exactly as you'd expect.
From the moment he was called up to the podium to outline his newest housing proposal, Mayor Daniel Lurie was met by cheers from about half the crowd and boos from the other half.
Good morning, everyone.
Today, the median home price in San Francisco sits around $1.3 million. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment often exceeds $3,000 per month. These prices aren't driven by a lack of land alone. They're driven by policy choices. San Francisco didn't run out of space. It chose not to use it. Then came tech. The rise of Silicon Valley companies brought unprecedented wealth into the region. Highly paid workers arrived in large numbers. Capital flowed in at a global scale. In many cities, this kind of growth would trigger massive housing construction and infrastructure expansion. But San Francisco absorbed this demand into a system that refused to expand. The result was predictable. High earners could outbid everyone else. Middle-class residents were squeezed out. Lower-income residents were left with fewer options and mounting pressure. The city became richer, but narrower. This is where the cracks became impossible to ignore. Homelessness increased, not because San Francisco is uniquely compassionate, but because housing became inaccessible at nearly every level. Small businesses struggled as commercial rents rose alongside residential ones. Long-standing communities fractured as residents were displaced. entire neighborhoods lost the people who once gave them identity. San Francisco didn't lose residents because it lacked opportunity. It lost them because opportunity no longer came with a place to live. Once this cycle began, it reinforced itself. Rising prices created more resistance to change. Existing homeowners became invested in scarcity. Preservation became not just cultural, but financial. The city slowly locked itself into a feedback loop where solving the problem became politically harder the longer it went unsolved. What started as a desire to protect neighborhood character evolved into a system that protected exclusion. At its core, San Francisco optimized for stability, preserving neighborhood character, protecting views, maintaining a specific image of what the city should look like. But cities are living systems. When they stop adapting, pressure doesn't disappear, it concentrates.